I think it's safe to say that change is on my agenda. Change for good. And I embrace that and I enjoy that change. I don't fear it.
The humiliation did not begin with a public speech, a royal decree, or a dramatic announcement from Buckingham Palace. It began with one locked door beneath the old heart of the monarchy. Queen Camilla arrived expecting access to the royal wardrobe vault, only to be stopped by William's order. In that moment, the palace understood something brutal. This was no longer tension. This was punishment. Before we go deeper into what this really means for the royal family, make sure to subscribe so you don't miss a single update. Camilla had walked that corridor before, with the certainty of someone who believed the palace had accepted her. She knew the voices, the steps, the respect that followed a crown. The royal wardrobe vault, a guarded palace storage room for historic robes, gowns, jewels, mourning pieces, and state garments tied to royal women, was not just storage. It was memory. It was status. The senior wardrobe keeper waited near the door with the key in her hand, but she did not turn it. Camilla looked at her once, expecting movement, obedience, the old rules to hold. Then the keeper lowered her eyes and said the vault could not be opened. Not today. Not for her. The words landed softly, but they struck like a blade. William had ordered her access revoked, and staff had been told not to unlock the door under any circumstance. William stood elsewhere in the palace, silent and controlled. But the order was not careless. He understood what the refusal would mean. Camilla could still smile in public, still stand beside Charles, still wear the title that had taken years to secure. But without approval from his office, she could no longer select ceremonial pieces from the vault. That touched whether she belonged inside the monarchy's private symbols. An internal note made the punishment feel colder. The phrase, "heritage access suspended," appeared in plain language, turning a family wound into an official palace boundary. Heritage access meant permission to use items linked to royal history, and losing it told observers that trust had been withdrawn. One courtier saw Camilla's face change. First disbelief, then anger, then dignity being stripped away. Camilla did not raise her voice. She did not plead. She stared at the locked door, while the key remained untouched in the keeper's hand. Yet the silence around her carried a warning no one could miss. This order had not been born from one bad morning. Something deeper had pushed William to act. And as that door stayed closed, the question was no longer why she had been stopped. It was who had finally decided she had gone too far. To the outside world, this looked like a dispute over access. Inside the palace, it felt like a family fracture dressed in velvet, gold, and silence. William was not merely closing a room. He was drawing a line between inheritance and influence. Camilla was not merely being denied a key. She was being told that her place inside monarchy could be limited. William carried the decision like stone. As the future king, meaning the next monarch expected to protect the crown after Charles, he saw himself not only as son, but as guardian of continuity. That mattered, because Catherine and the children were no longer distant figures in tomorrow's story. They were living proof of what the monarchy would become next. If symbols entered battles, the future could be bent by resentment. Camilla sat after the refusal, removing her gloves one finger at a time. Her face stayed stiff, but the silence around her grew sharper. The queen consort, meaning the wife of the reigning king who supports his role without ruling, had spent years fighting to be accepted. To her, access to wardrobe pieces was more than privilege. It was proof that the palace had stopped treating her as an outsider. William spoke with Catherine later, and the calm in his voice made the moment heavier. He admitted the order was severe. Catherine watched him with concern, because she understood what Camilla would feel when the insult settled. The princess knew humiliation did not stay private in a family built around rank. It moved from room to room. It changed faces. Charles stood trapped between love and legacy. If the king reopened the vault, he would weaken William before staff, and the future he was meant to lead. If he left it locked, he would wound Camilla where she feared most, the fear that acceptance could be taken back. Both outcomes carried pain. Sophie entered through a private conversation recorded in a confidential household memo, warning that the wardrobe pieces had become part of a power struggle. The trusted confidant had seen what others ignored. Fabric, jewels, and protocol were no longer harmless details. They had become weapons. Once those weapons were named, William's decision looked less like cruelty and more like defense. The fight was no longer about a locked room. It was about who would shape the monarchy's face when the next generation stepped forward. Camilla wanted proof that she belonged. William wanted proof that the future could not be manipulated. Catherine feared the damage would spread. Charles feared choosing. But the order did not appear out of nowhere, and behind the prince's cold decision was one earlier moment that changed everything. Every royal crisis has a moment everyone remembers later with painful clarity. For this one, it happened during a private rehearsal for a state remembrance ceremony, when Camilla reached for a ceremonial mantle linked to Queen Elizabeth's final years. The room went still. Catherine said nothing at first. William watched from across the chamber, and something in him hardened forever. Catherine had learned to hide pain behind calm, but even she could not make her hands obey. Her fingers tightened around the table as Camilla touched the mantle. The Windsor Remembrance Wardrobe Review, a private rehearsal where senior royals inspect clothing and ceremonial items before a major service, had been arranged to avoid conflict. Instead, it exposed one. Camilla knew the power of that garment. A ceremonial mantle is a formal robe worn during important royal occasions, and this one carried the weight of Queen Elizabeth's final years. Staff had reserved it for Catherine's future role, because her place beside William represented the next chapter. That mattered. The mantle did not only cover shoulders, it carried memory, rank, and the promise of what came after Charles. William saw Catherine stay silent, and that silence hurt him more than anger would have. The prince understood her restraint. She would not embarrass Camilla in front of staff. She would not turn a rehearsal into a war. But he saw the way her face held steady, while her hands told the truth. To him, that was not protocol. That was pain being swallowed. Sophie gave William the missing piece through a documented account, prepared for the household record. The trusted confidant told him the mantle had been discussed privately before, and Camilla had been made aware of what it represented. Sophie did not speak loudly. She did not need to. Her warning changed how he understood the moment. A wardrobe aide revealed, in a recorded staff statement, that a handwritten tag marking the piece for Catherine had been removed before the rehearsal began. That detail struck William like proof. Someone had not simply reached for the wrong garment. Someone had cleared the path first. The insult had been prepared, polished, and placed like a challenge. The vault changed in William's mind that day. It stopped being a guarded store of robes, jewels, and history. It became a battlefield where symbols could be taken before power was openly claimed. Camilla left believing the moment had passed. Catherine left with dignity intact, but wounded. William left with a decision forming in silence. So when Camilla returned to the vault days later, she did not know she was walking back into the place where he had chosen to end the game. The confrontation came without cameras, without applause, and without the soft language palace statements used to hide pain. Camilla demanded to see William. William agreed, but only in a small private room near the wardrobe corridor. No aides entered, no one interrupted, and when the door closed behind them, the future king and the queen consort faced each other with years of buried resentment between them. Camilla entered first, carrying fury like a crown no one could take from her. She had been stopped by staff, and that humiliation burned, because servants had obeyed William over her. The wardrobe corridor mattered, because it sat beside the royal wardrobe vault, the guarded room where ceremonial clothing and historic royal pieces were kept. Being refused there did not feel like an office mistake. It felt like the palace itself had turned its back. William arrived without a file, without a folder, without a single paper to hide behind. The prince wanted her to understand that this was not a negotiation. It was personal. He stood across from Camilla with a calm that made her anger look even louder, and that calm wounded her more. She had expected defense. She had expected explanation. She had not expected certainty. Camilla asked whether he truly meant to humiliate her. Her voice trembled once, then hardened. William answered that he meant to protect what had been entrusted to the family. That word mattered. Entrusted meant given for safekeeping, not for personal use, and the future king used it like a warning. The vault, he said, was not a trophy room for private victories. Camilla stared at him, as if he had crossed a line he could never uncross. She revealed, in that private conversation later summarized in a confidential household note, that Charles had never told her the access order was coming. The queen consort said the king had let her walk into the refusal blind. That single confession changed the temperature in the room. Either Charles had avoided the fight, or he had allowed William to carry it out alone. William did not soften. He reached into his jacket and placed the removed wardrobe tag between them. The small handwritten marker from the Remembrance Review sat on the table like evidence. Camilla looked at it, then back at him, and for the first time her anger showed fear beneath it. The prince did not raise his voice. He did not need to. Camilla left the room pale with anger, but William remained still after the door closed. The confrontation had not healed anything. It had exposed the wound completely, and when Camilla reached Charles, the locked vault became something far more dangerous than a family insult. It became a test of royal authority. Charles had spent a lifetime preparing to wear the crown, but nothing prepared him for the sound of Camilla asking why he had allowed his son to close a royal door in her face. The king sat with the file before him, one hand resting near the seal, the other unmoving on the chair. His silence told her what no official statement ever could. Camilla stood before him with the anger of someone who had been wounded in the one place she thought was finally safe. The monarch still held technical authority, meaning he had the final power to approve or reverse decisions inside the royal household. Yet William's future role gave the prince growing control over heritage protections, especially those tied to Catherine and the children. That mattered, because the family's next chapter could not look divided before it even began. Charles looked older in that private moment. He knew reopening the vault would not be a simple act of kindness. The royal wardrobe vault had become part of ceremonial continuity, meaning the careful system that protects important royal symbols so they pass from one generation to the next without public disorder. A small palace committee had backed the restriction, and that made the order harder to undo without making William look weak. Camilla asked whether her years of loyalty now meant less than the prince's anger. Her voice did not break, but it carried years of sacrifice, judgment, and survival. She had stood beside Charles through storms that would have destroyed softer people. Now she wanted him to say one thing clearly, that she still mattered enough to be defended. Charles set his hand on the file, then removed it without opening the seal. The king looked wounded, but he refused to turn the decision back. He told Camilla that some symbols could not be used as weapons inside the family. The words hurt, because they were calm. He was not accusing her loudly. He was accepting William's judgment quietly. A senior courtier confirmed in a documented household account that William had requested the suspension only after 2 staff members verified the removed wardrobe tag incident. That detail changed everything. It meant the prince had not acted from temper alone. It meant the palace had reviewed the wound before choosing to let it bleed. Sophie's warning had also reached Charles through a private memorandum before the order was signed. The trusted confidant had seen the danger early, and the king had known the crisis was coming. Camilla understood the worst truth at last. The locked vault was not William acting alone. It was the palace allowing him to act. Once she understood that Charles would not save her from the humiliation, the fallout moved from private pain to visible consequence. The first sign of fallout came at a formal luncheon, where every guest noticed what Camilla was not wearing. No rare brooch from the older collection, no inherited ceremonial accent, no carefully chosen piece from the wardrobe vault. She entered with a smile that looked practiced, but her hand moved once toward her collar, as if searching for the symbol that had been taken away. Camilla felt exposed before anyone said a word. A formal luncheon, meaning a carefully arranged royal meal where seating, clothing, and manners all send messages, was never just about food. It was about rank. It was about who looked secure. The queen consort knew this, and so did every guest watching her. The palace had adjusted her wardrobe options immediately, removing historic pieces from upcoming appearances, and the absence spoke louder than any announcement. Catherine noticed the empty space near Camilla's collar, but she did not smile. The princess understood that humiliation inside a family never stayed neatly contained. It moved quietly, touching everyone near it. She had been protected by William's decision, yes, but she also knew protection could carry a cost. Camilla's pain was visible, and Catherine's restraint made the room feel even colder. A dresser nearly broke the silence before the luncheon began. She brought the wrong jewel tray, then froze when another staff member caught her eye and corrected it before Camilla could see. A jewel tray is the prepared selection of brooches, pins, or ornaments offered before an appearance. And this mistake mattered, because one wrong piece could expose the restriction to the entire room. Staff were now afraid of a single slip. William watched from a distance, and the prince understood the order had already changed the balance of power. Every ceremonial request now had to pass through his office, meaning Camilla could no longer choose from the older collection without approval. That was not a small rule. It placed the future king between the queen consort and the symbols she had once used to prove belonging. Camilla lifted her glass with steady fingers, but her eyes betrayed the bruise. She had survived public judgment, private whispers, and years of fighting for acceptance beside Charles. Yet this felt different. The king's silence had left her unprotected, and William's control had left her exposed. Success had given her a crown, but suffering had followed her into the room, wearing no jewels at all. The humiliation did not break Camilla. It sharpened her. By the end of the luncheon, the queen consort had stopped looking toward the guests and started looking toward the corridor that led back to Charles. And that appeal would not be made to courtiers, committees, or wardrobe keepers. It would be made to the one man whose approval still mattered most. There are moments in royal life when titles vanish, and only family remains. Camilla found Charles alone that evening, away from aides and protocol, and for once she did not speak like a queen consort defending status. She spoke like a woman terrified of being erased. Charles listened, older and sadder than before, but the answer in his eyes arrived before the words did. Camilla asked for only one private concession. She wanted access to a single ceremonial piece for an upcoming appearance. One chosen item that would prove she had not been fully shut out. A ceremonial piece means a historic garment or jewel worn for royal occasions. And this one mattered because it would tell the world she still had a place inside the family's private symbols. Without it, the punishment felt complete. Charles understood the trap before she finished speaking. If the king granted even one exception, he would undermine William's order and reopen the conflict the palace had just forced into silence. That mattered because William's authority was no longer theoretical. The future king had drawn a boundary, and if Charles crossed it, every staff member would know the boundary could be broken by pressure. Camilla's anger softened into something more painful. She asked whether the family now saw her as temporary, tolerated, and removable. The queen consort had survived years of judgment to stand beside Charles. Yet now she felt the ground shifting under her feet. She had won the crown, but the locked vault made that victory feel fragile. Success had brought her status. Suffering had followed her into the private room. Charles took her hand, and for a moment, the king looked less like a monarch than a tired husband, carrying a wound he could not heal. He told Camilla that belonging could not be forced through symbols others felt had been taken from them. The words were gentle, but the meaning was brutal. He would comfort her. He would not reverse William. Charles admitted, through a private recorded conversation, later summarized for the household archive, that Queen Elizabeth's old guidance about royal garments had always emphasized restraint, not entitlement. That guidance mattered, because it gave moral weight to the prince's decision. The late queen had believed symbols should protect continuity, not feed rivalry. William had understood that lesson. Camilla now had to live under it. Charles confirmed the lockout would remain until trust was restored. The king did not call it punishment, but Camilla heard the truth anyway. The humiliation was now official, in everything except public language. She left knowing the decision was final, and the palace walls could no longer contain the meaning of it. By morning, the locked vault was no longer a private wound hidden behind stone. It had become the image everyone was talking about. The public did not need the full palace file to understand the meaning of the story. One image was enough. A newspaper front page, showing a dark wardrobe door beneath the headline, "The Key Taken Back." By breakfast, broadcasters were speaking of humiliation, loyalty, and the future king's authority. Outside Buckingham Palace, a small crowd gathered, staring through the gates, as if the monarchy itself had shifted overnight. Camilla saw the headline before anyone could hide it. A palace file, meaning the private record of decisions, notes, and approvals kept inside the household, did not have to be published for the public to feel its force. The front page had already done the work. It framed the locked vault as more than a closed room. It looked like influence being stripped away. William heard the morning broadcast in silence. The presenter called it, "The moment William stopped asking and started ruling." And that phrase cut through the country like a verdict. A broadcaster, meaning the person guiding live television or radio coverage, had turned a private boundary into a national story. The prince felt no triumph. He felt the weight of knowing his decision now belonged to everyone. Camilla folded the newspaper once at breakfast, sharply, then left without finishing her tea. The Queen Consort had faced headlines before. This one was different, because it did not attack her past. It questioned her present. It told millions the palace had taken back a key. And Camilla understood people would read the missing key as missing power. William looked toward Catherine later that day, and the princess understood the cost without him explaining it. Catherine's calm appearance was read as quiet victory. But those close to her knew peace mattered more than revenge. She had never wanted Camilla shamed in public. She had wanted symbols protected before they wounded the family further. Palace aides released no detailed denial, and that silence became louder than confirmation. A palace aide is a staff member who helps manage royal duties, statements, and arrangements, and their refusal to explain created a dangerous space. The public filled it with judgment. Some saw William as firm, others saw Camilla as exposed. Everyone saw Charles had not reopened the door. The crowd outside Buckingham Palace stayed small, but its meaning grew. People stared through the gates as if waiting for the crown to blink. It did not. Public reaction forced one final internal conclusion. The lockout would either be softened or accepted as reality. And in the final reckoning, the monarchy chose not to reopen the door because the meaning of that locked vault had become impossible to undo. In the end, the most devastating punishment was not loud. It was not announced from a balcony or shouted across a palace corridor. It was quiet, controlled, and irreversible. Camilla remained queen consort, but one door no longer opened for her. William remained the son, but everyone now understood he was also the future. And Charles, caught between love and legacy, let the key stay out of reach. Camilla faced the verdict before another appearance, and the silence around her felt heavier than any public insult. A dresser offered only approved modern pieces, each one safe, polished, and empty of the old power she had expected. Restricted heritage access, meaning limited permission to use historic royal garments and jewels, remained in place. The royal wardrobe vault would stay closed to her old freedom, and the queen consort understood what that meant. William carried the decision without joy. The prince had crossed from grief into guardianship, from wounded son into active protector of the monarchy's next chapter. That mattered because Catherine and the children stood at the center of the future he was defending. If the palace allowed symbols to become weapons now, the damage would follow the next generation into every ceremony, every portrait, every public moment. Charles carried visible sadness, but sadness did not move his hand toward the key. The king had loved Camilla through storms, judgment, and years of waiting. Yet even that love could not outweigh the survival instincts of the crown. The crown, meaning the monarchy as an institution beyond any one person, demanded preservation before comfort. Charles knew it. Camilla knew he knew it. That made the wound deeper. Catherine's future ceremonial place stayed quietly protected. The princess did not celebrate the lockout, but its meaning surrounded her all the same. This had never been only about Camilla. It was about succession, image, inheritance, and the question of who would carry the monarchy forward without having their place taken piece by piece. Sophie's warning, the removed tag, the closed door, and Charles's silence now connected into one final truth. The trusted confidant had seen the danger early. William had acted when restraint failed. The king had allowed the order to stand. Camilla had learned that acceptance inside royalty could have limits, even after a crown had been placed beside her name. The locked vault became the final humiliation because it told Camilla that belonging could be narrowed without a public word. It told William that power sometimes begins with a door he refuses to open. And it told the monarchy that the future would not be guarded by softness alone. The story ends with no dramatic forgiveness, no restored key, and no public embrace. Only the cold final lesson of monarchy. Those who guard the future decide which doors remain closed. Thanks for watching. Please don't forget to like and subscribe, and we will see you in next one.